Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining SIRIN Labs here on Facebook Live. I'm Yolanda, part of the marketing department, and I am joined by my colleague and friend, Doron Zuberi. He is the Director of Product Strategy. Doron, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for watching us.
It's nice that you were able to take some time out of your busy day, because I hear that you've been working a lot on DApps. So that's the topic of today. If you have questions about DApps, DApp Store, have any questions, comments for Doron, please send them to us on our Telegram channel. The address is provided for you. So first, to start off, Doron, let's talk about decentralized apps. What exactly are they?
Okay, so let's start conceptually and then bring it down to earth. So the concept or the big idea is to bring in the big features and the big benefits of blockchain into the way we are using or the utility of applications today. Okay, so blockchain gives us decentralizations. It gives us the transparency of visibility of everything being public. It can help us stay anonymized and unidentified, and it's immutable in a way that makes the need for trust a little redundant in some situations. So this would be the big concept. And if we take it one level closer to earth, so basically, if you think about it, even before dApps, we as end users, we never interact directly with the blockchain. We are using these sorts of interfaces, such as My Ether wallet and so on, in order to express our intent, and then we send it off to these clients or entities that interact directly with the blockchain. And the idea here is to have applications that at their core are using some sort of a smart contract, blockchain smart contract, to execute the core logic of what this application do. But they will also have this user-facing layer that make it very simple and very friendly for us as end users, which might not be very technical to use.
Okay, so in a nutshell, the importance of DApps, how would you describe it?
So I think that maybe, I don't know how to grade the importance on a scale of 1 to 10, but I would say that DApps would really be the way to start to realize the idea of integrating blockchain into our everyday lives. So we will start seeing more and more applications which are built to serve us on our daily routines, which are built to solve our daily needs and problems, which allow us to use the benefits of blockchain in a very user-friendly and seamless way.
Great. So Doron, we have some questions that have come into us already, and hopefully we'll get more questions via Telegram, because there's a technical glitch with Facebook. We're not always able to see your questions that you ask here. So please join our Telegram channel and ask your questions for Doron about DApps. We'll get to some of the questions that we've already received. So why does SIRIN Labs need its own DApp store to begin with?
Okay, that's a good one. So SIRIN Labs, when you think about dApps, you can say that dApps are trying to do to blockchain software what the Finiphone is trying to do to blockchain security hardware. So we are taking a phone and we are building into it a cold storage wallet, and we are providing you with a very simplified and easy to use interface so you can actually use it. But now that you have it, what will you use it for? Okay, so I have my cryptocurrencies with me all day. It's in my phone. I can very easily use it, but what do I use it for? So SIRIN, the Fini, and the cold storage wallet would be like a big screen, super high definition TV. But what are we going to watch? Okay, so for us, the DApp store is the way to bring in more content and to bring in the media, to bring in the shows into this TV that we're developing. So if we're talking about when we're talking about DApps, you can make this sort of segmentation to three main categories of DApps. You can think of DApps that provide you with some financial service, such as a decentralized exchange. It could be a way to switch tokens. You can think of an ICO actually as a sort of a DApp.
Okay.
You can think about apps with DApps which are providing you with some service, some media. You can think about paid news channels and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can think about a third category of DApps that does not involve any exchange of value at all. They are just there to execute or to provide some sort of a microservice that help decentralized organization function. You can think about examples such as voting mechanism or governance mechanisms and so on. So we expect to see all three categories in SIRIN's DApp store.
Sounds really good and very useful. Okay, so is there a roadmap of what we could expect at launch for DApps and the DApp store?
Yeah, of course. What we can say is, first of all, the launch of the FINI, which for the people who are following SIRIN now and are really with us throughout the process of launching, it might seem at time that the launch of the FINI is some sort of end milestone to some process, but for us, is the way we see it, the launch of the FINI is really just the start. Okay, so we're gonna launch the FINI. It's gonna have some some of the core functionalities working with it, and we're gonna see feature release and software releases with time that give you more and more content and more functionality. So on day one, when Philly launches, it's gonna have a DApp store built into it, and it's gonna support the Ethereum, okay, DApps. From what we see today, most of the richest DApp ecosystem exists all over the Ethereum network. But actually, these DApps could be developed over any blockchain network that supports smart contract. So with time, we expect to see more DApps developed over Neo, Cardano, Tesla, COS, and so on. So you can expect to see the DApp store develops into a multi-blockchain DApp store, which makes sense since on the FINI you have your wallet for all the different blockchain networks and tokens and coins. So you will have the compliant DApp, so you could use it.
Okay, so is there a need, or are there usages for the DApps beyond FINI?
Yeah, of course. So I think this is also a big part of the promise to DApp developers and so on that will be featured on the SIRIN DApp store. You can see us as a sort of a distribution network where the DApps that are featured in the store are not only going to be featured on the FINI, but any OEM and other hardware provider manufacturer that's going to take the SIRIN OS is going to have the DApp store, the SIRIN DApp store built into it. So all of these different DApps will be featured on these additional devices as well.
Okay. We do have some questions that are coming in. Doron, one of the questions is how many DApps are currently ready and how is the planning going for a year? Alex is asking this question.
How many of the DApps? I'm not sure I'm clear on the question. Alex, if you can clarify.
Okay, right. Okay, so we'll move on to another one. Hopefully, Alex, you can clarify that for us.
Please do.
And let's talk about the SDK. First, what is it for people who are watching who are not familiar with an SDK?
Okay, so actually perfect, because this question reminds me of another thing that we must talk about today. And this is what would be the main benefits of having your DApp running on your FINI, with respect to another DApp which could be ran on a desktop and so on. So basically what we see today, the majority of the DApps would be sort of what we call stateless. So they don't have a real notion, or they're not really aware of the context of what the user is doing, in the sense that when it's time to to pull out the wallet and pay, the process for going through or to generate the transaction is not very different than what you see today when you go on my wallet and so on. So the idea in Fini is that the phone or the system is going to be fully aware of what the user's intent is. So once you are punching in the checkout or the pay now button inside the DApp, you're gonna see this overlay that you're also already got used to of the cold storage wallet that you have on your Fini, and you're gonna see all the different details of the transaction punched in for you, the destination address and the amount. We're gonna recommend it with a gas, which make the transaction go on time, and so on. And you will just have to punch in the pay button and go through the authentication level as you define for yourself, as secure as you want to be with your Fini. And basically, you're going to stay within the context of the DApp of what you're using, because sometimes you will want to pay with a blockchain, with a cryptocurrency, but you wouldn't want to be distracted from what you're doing. You are consuming some media, you want to read some news on a paid channel and so on, but you have to go on to switch context into payment. But we're going to make sure that this context switch is going to be swift, is going to be quick, and it's going to be very seamless in a way that you are staying in the context of what you really want to do now, which is not really paying. This is not what you want to do.
Focusing again on the seamless part, which is something that's really important to us here, making things quick. Transactions happen very quickly behind the scenes. Easy, seamless user experience for everyone. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Did we hear back from Alex? Okay, do we have another question? No, another question. Okay, so please, if you have any other questions, send them in. We will keep going. We did have a question come in to us via Telegram earlier. Quality control. How will that happen for the DApp store?
Okay, so I can interpret the question in a few ways, but maybe if I choose one and answer, so I'm going to say that we at SIRIN, we are going to be the curator of this of the landing page of what you see when you open this DApp. So okay, in a way, the DApp, you know, I'm old enough to have lived through the rise of internet. So I remember the good old days of Yahoo has a portal and all of these websites which would just organize the web for you. They will have the links to everything that is available. You know, you will have these indexes and different categories, and this is the pre-Google search engine days. So in a way, what we see now with the DApp, it's like a little bit back to the future, or maybe I should say fast forward into history, because when you think of DApps, you know, by the way, I'm going to stop a second and say, if you want to learn more about these DApps, there are a wonderful website. Go on, for example, go to stateofthedapps.com. Okay.
Stateofthedapps.com.
Yeah. Maybe we can link. Maybe we can link it in the comments under the video or something like that. Sure. So you will get an impression of what that is if you didn't do so yet. So coming back to my answer, I want to say that so all of the when you go into a DApp, basically what you say is these landing pages that just organize all the different available DApps for you. And we at SIRIN, we are going to curate a DApp store as well. And as part of what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that everything that we present is actually workable on your device with the different versions of components that you have on there. And we're going to make sure that some of the DApps that might have a little less than perfect reputation, we're going to make sure you'll be notified about it, so you're fully aware of the risk you're taking while using DApps and so on. And you could expect, we'll have to imagine it for now. We can't show it to you just yet, but you can expect to see there, you know, the editor choice. You can expect to see there we're gonna implement some ranking mechanisms, so you can see the dApps which are most recommended by other users and so on. And I hope I answered the question. I'm not sure.
I think you gave a really good answer. If we need some clarification, please ask your question to us again. So tell us a little bit more background of what you've been working on here, Don, because you've been with SIRIN Labs for a few years, right?
Oh, this is going to be about me. I
really
didn't expect that. Okay.
So you've been here for a few years. How long have you been working with the decentralized apps?
Ever since we started, I think looking into blockchain, which is way over a year now.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see the development. You can see the evolution, and I think that it would be very interesting to go back to and watch this video, let's say a year from now, and contemplate over what we thought about dApps, because I think in a year time this is going to be very different.
So it's rapidly changing.
Yeah, if we just to give a more concrete example, think about conventional application store that you have today with coming from Google and Apple and so on. So when you think about these applications, these distribution channels provided by Google, Apple, they are doing a lot of work for the developers. A developer in California can write a game, and Google and Apple will make sure that this game will be distributed throughout the world. Mm-hmm. People in Thailand can buy it for baht, and people in China can or in Israel can buy it for Israeli shekel, and Google or Apple gonna invoice us as the user, and they gonna take care of all the legal and financial services for the app developer in California. So the game developer, in the end of the day, can really focus on what he wants to do and what he's good at, which is developing games, right? So as we will see blockchain integrated into real world, we're gonna see it also being regulated, and we're gonna see this dependency between DApp distributors and DApp developers. Also, we're going to see this, relationship intensify, as these are symbiotic relationships, and we're going to need one another. We see it as our role to help developers of blockchain applications, DApps, in spreading the world and bringing more utility to cryptocurrencies, to Fini and to other devices.
This is great for developers. What advice would you give to developers at this stage who want to work with SIRIN Labs?
Well, I think first of all, regardless of working with SIRIN Labs, I would say that there is the world tend to reward those who identify the opportunities first and jump on the wagon before others. So it's definitely not too early to start thinking about dApps more seriously and to develop a version, a DApp decentralized version, existing app or just a new one. If you were thinking about starting something new and you have an option to develop it in an ordinary old way or with the blockchain, you should consider using blockchain.
What about apps, DApps that are more popular, not as popular, how they reach the community? We were talking earlier about some of the ones that haven't reached critical mass or have this great popularity or may not be as polished. DApps yet are still very popular within the blockchain community.
Yeah, so that's very interesting what you're saying, because we are researching into DApps. And I would like to, share some numbers, but I'm not sure about which of the numbers we're using are for us to share, and because we're using some paid reports. But on a qualitative level, I would say that what we see is that, for example, if you take a game, okay, and you take the conventional version of the game and the blockchain version of the same game, you can see that the game for the very fact that it is using blockchain, it gains some additional popularity. Okay, so what we learn from that is that the people who are holding cryptocurrency and using blockchain today, they have this need to be able to utilize their tokens to things which are beyond financial services and so on. So the DApp store is gonna provide the people with this getaway of things that they could do with their cryptocurrency in their daily life.
That's great. So people can still have greater exposure for their apps. Others who are using the different apps, the DApps, can explore and find new apps that they want as well, and have that security and lots of different options as well. So it's like a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. Speaking about options, so we've talked about it before, but I think worth mentioning again the fact that we see today many blockchain projects, many ICOs, which are actually their promise or the product is to be delivered as a DApp, right? It means that all of these great and wonderful DApps are going to require the user of using their token, their specific token, in order to be able to enjoy their service and products. Okay, and what we are planning on doing, what we will deliver in the Fini, is this token changing mechanism. So actually, you can have only Ether or only Bitcoin or only SIRIN in your wallet, but you will be able to enjoy this richness of different applications that actually require different tokens in a very seamless way, because we are going to convert the tokens for you, so you will not have to deal with that, because dealing with that will be a very brutal context switch, I would say. You want to go into application, but now you have to go into an exchange just to be able to go back to this application. It doesn't make a lot of sense to us. We're going to solve that.
Right, and solving that is one of the main points, one of the selling points of the Fini, is solving the problems that are associated with user experience. We want to make things easy, seamless to use, have a great user experience.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we want to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Doron, for taking time to join us to talk about decentralized apps. Appreciate your time. If you all have any further questions for Doron or for us at SIRIN Labs at all, please join us on all of our social media channels. And of course, you can contact us in real time on our Telegram channel. There's also a link for the website Doron mentioned. What was the name of it again?
State of the DApps.
State of the DApps. Great. Thank you all for joining us, and see you again next week.